You know, around this time of year, Jason,
Yeah.
I just want to keep basically wishing people Merry Christmas forever. Like, well, Christmas is over; it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
just like, yeah, it's great. It's an easy opener. You can
Yeah.
just be like, "Hey, Merry Christmas!" Like that was last week, man. It's like,
Whatever.
whatever.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, it's oozing together. Welcome everybody to the Rage Select Podcast. I am Jeff.
I'm Jason.
Oh my God, Jason! This is the week of Jason,
It's
man.
me.
Yeah, I think that we're giving people an unrealistic expectation that it's like, oh my God, he's back forever, and it's like you guys don't realize that the what 4 videos that we have with you, we recorded that over the course of like a month and a half or something like that.
Something like that. But a lifetime of shame.
Yes, well, you know, we saved the best for last.
Oh, God.
We saved the worst for last.
You guys got to see the video, the Quick Kick remix video, if you haven't. It's just it is a shame that will hang around my neck like a goddamn anchor for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you'll never escape it.
Never.
Well, I think that I think in the Christmas dancing video competition, you, sir, definitely won. Like you came out better than anybody else did, or except for maybe John. I mean, well, I guess no. Okay, never mind.
Fuck John. Are we gonna have to step up back to the streets?
Are you challenging him?
No.
Is it
I'm
on?
not doing that again.
Is it
No,
on?
It's not.
I thought you were legitimately going to perish.
Oh God, I was so tired.
A few times.
I was just like
I wish we'd had a second camera to see that after you did your second dance, you just went and laid down on
on the stairs.
So how was your Christmas, Jason?
It was all right. It's pretty lazy. Didn't really do anything. Allison and I just sat around playing Minecraft and watching Arrow. So
You know, it's funny.
and Christmas movies. We
Okay.
watched Elf and all that.
I feel like every time a holiday comes around, you have the exact same story. I watched Arrow with Allison, and then we played some Minecraft.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's kind of like, how much goddamn Minecraft and Arrow? Aren't you guys finished with Arrow yet? How are you not?
No. We just started season 2, and so we're trying to catch up.
Okay.
We're trying to catch up because we've been watching Flash, and Flash is spoiling stuff in Arrow that we haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah.
And so it's just it's a little annoying, you know. And so it's like, okay, we're going to try to catch up so we can not be spoiled and blah blah blah. But no, this Minecraft was a little different. We downloaded the festive holiday skin pack.
Oh, so I thought you downloaded the festive swinger dance party pack or something like that, like with all the mine dongs on it.
Yeah, Minecraft Key Party.
What is it? Just snowing everywhere and candy canes
No.
and shit,
It's just a skin pack. Allison was running around as a little gingerbread lady, and I was. The hell was I? I don't remember. I was some other Christmas themed dude.
left a really indelible impression.
Oh no,
I
I was a green elf. I was like basically Buddy the Elf.
It sounds like you were the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Well,
I was Norman Osborn.
Did you do gift exchange? Did you get any fat loot?
No, we didn't do presents this year.
I finally my sister and I finally called a ceasefire with my parents. I'd be like, stop. We're going to stop because it was Christmas Eve. I had just finished recording with Brian the day before, and like, it's like, I don't know what do you get? Your 60-year-old parents, they're adults. They just buy. I mean, you have to come up with, and what do? Nothing. That's what they do. They hang around. My dad does nothing. My mom does. I mean, she has an antique store. I don't know what to buy for somebody who runs an antique store. But yeah, we finally managed to negotiate the ceasefire on presents. But I was actually thinking about how 8-year-old me would really slap the shit out of me if he was able to see me this Christmas, because I got like a pair of jeans and a new thermostat, and I was so excited. Just imagine if 10-year-old Jeff came to the future. Yeah. I mean, when you were a kid and you got like a sweater or some socks or some shit, and you were just like, where's the Transformers at?
Yeah, we went and treated ourselves to a bunch of stuff from Rogues Gallery. But we bought a bunch of comic books and then went to Half Price Books and bought like a stupid amount of books.
Okay, this sounds like pretty much every other day of your life.
I know.
Like, you didn't do anything for Christmas.
Yeah.
It's
like it's just every Saturday, just,
okay.
Books about Satan and stuff like that.
Now you said that you went out and dressed up. You went out and dressed up like Santa Claus before Christmas?
No. That was Cargill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Every year, well, for the past 2 years anyway, this year and last year, we did this thing called Elf Louise, and where we go to this warehouse, and it's this big organization, and they're like, okay, here are your addresses. Here are the presents that these kids wanted. Their names are on them. And, Cargill dressed up like Santa Claus, and Allison and Jessica, Cargill's wife, dressed up like elves, and I sat in the car.
What did you? No,
I drove.
Wouldn't you? But you had the perfect opportunity. You could have dressed up like the Krampus. And
That's
then
a brilliant idea.
And then when he was passing out gifts, you could have busted in and knifed Santa to death and just traumatized the shit out of children.
Yes.
Or you could have at least had Cargill point out to you in the car and be like, "You guys have been good, right? I don't have to call my friend the Cramp."
I'll sit in the back of my truck.
That's right.
Just sitting there, just come in and just stab Cargill. It's like talking in the Buffalo Bill voice. Santa was on the naughty list. Santa was, who else is on the naughty list? Who else is on the naughty list?
I could just imagine the Cargill coming in like some kind of gangster who's like, "Hey, it's a nice tree you got there. It'd be a shame if my buddy the Krampus had to come in here and fuck it up and take all your presents and shit." Right?
There was this one kid who was pissed at his parents, so the Krampus came in and fucked him right to death. That's what the Krampus does.
It's a Christmas miracle. Oh my God! I wish. Why has nobody made like a Krampus DLC for a video game?
Oh,
right?
Man,
like
come on, Saints Row.
Yeah, exactly. There wasn't even any goddamn Saints Row. They're too busy putting that Get Out of Hell pack together to put any Christmas DLC out this year. Nothing had Christmas DLC, which pisses me off because when I was a kid, there was the day that I opened up this like super. You remember the game Dark Castle? I've talked about this once before.
Maybe.
Yeah, this little guy. They had a really bad version on the Genesis, but it was on the PC and the Mac. I played on the original fucking Macintosh. Your guy would get hit and he would go ooh, 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 and it's this real little just kind of side-scrolling adventure game. But it started by you came into this hall where all these doors were that went to the individual levels. And if you open the game up on Christmas, there was a Christmas tree and there was like a bunch of presents on the other side. And when I was a kid, that shit just blew my mind up. I was like, what? And then
It's kind of like going to see Calendar Man and the Arkham games.
Yeah. Did you see that thing that came out where they had in Arkham City they finally discovered an Easter egg with Calendar Man?
Yeah, what was it?
Where it's like you set the date to the date that Rockstar was founded.
Yeah, and he just says something mysterious. Though,
he says something that's a little cryptic that kind of seems to maybe point to Arkham Knight a little bit, but yeah, but I mean, outside of MMOs, I can't think of anybody else. I mean, when I worked a long time ago, when I worked over at Sony Online Entertainment for Star Wars Galaxies,
yeah,
I had to test Wookiee Life Day. Like, they give us the builds for that. And there was one year where all they did was add shit in from the Star Wars Holiday Special. So you could get the porno hologram chair that Chewie's dad or grandpa or whoever the fuck that... Was he just a homeless Wookiee that wandered in? Seriously, any of you guys who haven't seen...
When the Wookiee delivers the pizza.
Any of you guys who haven't seen the Star Wars Holiday Special, you should seriously go seek that shit out. It's
oh my God. So whenever I try to watch it, I'll get partway through it and I'm just like, God, it feels like 6 hours long.
Yeah.
It just goes on forever.
And it's like, what, an hour?
You got B. Arthur singing shit. And, yeah, I think it's like an hour. But it really feels like you are just watching the fucking Hobbit trilogy all in one sitting.
Did you...
I haven't seen the third
this
one.
new Hobbit?
No.
I don't fucking care.
I'm going to. Yeah, I liked the first two well enough, but I was looking at the Blu-rays the other day because I was like, oh, Allison likes them, and I was going to get her the extended edition for the second one. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the Blu-rays and I'm like, I don't remember which one's which.
Yeah.
there was like the dragon and I don't know.
I think. Well, what did I see that our local? I think everybody knows Alamo, right? That Alamo is putting together, now that the third one's in theaters, some kind of all 6 extended cut movies in one day. I'm like, how you'd have to start at like 8 a.m. and you wouldn't even finish until like 4 a.m. the day after that. I mean, what the fuck, man? I don't want to be in a movie theater for
That's
that long.
That's an endurance test. Do that. I'd do it at home, maybe.
Yeah, but you could pause and go pee or get more beer or something like that. I don't know. That just seems excessive. Well, I tell you what, folks, we've got. I don't think there's anything else. I mean, I told people what I got for Christmas. Did you watch any of the Christmas the stuff that came out? Black Mirror Christmas, Doctor Who Christmas, any of that stuff? BoJack Horseman Christmas?
No. I've only seen like the first episode of Black Mirror. I haven't watched the rest of it yet. We're going to, but we got on Netflix, and I tweeted about this. We watched Pee-wee's Playhouse Christmas special.
Okay.
Which came out in the 90s, when the show was on. Like
sure.
Early 90s, maybe even late 80s, something like that.
I don't remember. I think it was early 90s. I'm pretty sure Pee Wee Herman was a product of the 90s.
Yeah. Late the TV show Pee-wee's Playhouse. I want to say it was like late 80s, early 90s. Anyway, it was, I think it was 90s. Okay. But it was like we were watching it, and I had seen it once before years ago, and I was like, man, it's cool. It's just really weird, and it's just, it's kind of bizarre, like Pee-wee's Playhouse. And,
yeah.
And I watched it, and I was like, okay, Little Richard shows up. Cool. Like Little Richard, and Charo shows up, and then Whoopi Goldberg. Grace Jones comes out and sings Little Drummer Boy.
Yeah.
And then Frankie and Annette from the old surfing beach movies. And then
86 through 90.
Yeah. And then shirtless construction workers, and then that's when we realized, it's like, oh my God, this is so gay. It's like Grace Jones and Oprah shows up, and fucking Cher shows up.
Yep.
And it's just like, okay, let's just get RuPaul in here, and then just say it's like Pee-wee's Big Gay Christmas Special. But it was like a who's who of gay icons in the late 80s.
But was that even, in the late 80s, did people even identify those people as gay icons?
I don't know. But if you watch it now, there's no way around it.
Kind of like when you watch Top Gun again and you realize it's just a homosexual metaphor for the love between two fighter pilots, right?
Exactly.
Or three fighter pilots, because Goose and Maverick were obviously doing it before, and then he's flirting with Iceman and Goose gets all pissed off. Well, that's pretty crazy.
It was weird because, I was like, oh, yeah, this one's fun. We should watch that. It's only 30 minutes long, and we're watching it, and about probably like 10 minutes in, Allison's like, what the hell is going on? and it was just more and more laughable as each one showed up. And then they just had, apropos of nothing, shirtless construction workers. And we're just like, all right, this is okay. We get it.
There's not a lot of good reason for a shirtless construction worker to show up.
No.
And
it was I have to applaud them because I'm like, that's subversive.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Let's see. What do you know what year that one was?
I don't.
Because I'm trying to think of how old I would have been when that. I don't think I ever really liked Pee Wee Herman. I don't think there was always a degree of just like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like, what's his deal,
not
man?
Me. Pee-wee's Playhouse. That shit was bizarre.
Yeah.
And then Cowboy Curtis shows up. It's Lawrence Fishburne.
Yep. That was back when he was Larry Fishburne, right?
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah. He's got that, like, Jerry curl perm mullet.
It's one of those things that I have to applaud, like in the 80s/90s. I was talking with Allison about this one day, where there was one day where I came home and I was watching a bunch of 90s music videos when I was drunk, like I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it really kind of occurred to me that you don't get as much weird in the mainstream anymore. Like in the 80s, in some parts of the 80s and some parts of the 90s, there was just some kind of really bizarre shit that you would just come you flip it through MTV and see Liquid Television, right?
Now it's all like Adult Swim and the purview of internet only media and that kind of thing.
I guess I just feel like, or stuff like Adventure Time, right? That I feel is intentionally weird.
Yeah.
Whereas some of that stuff in the late 80s, mid to early to mid 90s was stuff where people, they were legit believers in the craziness, right?
Yeah.
They were making this surreal stuff, and it wasn't tongue in cheek or this will be so weird and it'll get on the internet.
Liquid
it was just
Television on MTV. You're damn right.
It was very bizarre. Or just some of the music videos from the 90s. Like I would go back and watch the music video for Push It by Garbage, right? This guy with a light bulb head and a TV kid, and they're dancing around in a circle. And you're just like, what the fuck is going on here?
Right.
But it's awesome. I feel like even with the internet, you don't get it. So much of that stuff just feels like it's trying to be weird.
Have you been watching the weird stuff that Adult Swim's been putting out. Those weird, like, the Too Many Cooks things.
Yeah, even that. It felt like it was trying...
Or the unedited footage of a bear in the wilderness.
I heard about that one. I haven't seen it yet.
Fucking weird.
I do.
Unsettling.
At the end of 2014, though, I have to applaud Too Many Cooks for being the fastest meme I've ever seen. That came. Every single person on my Facebook feed had something to say about it,
and then it was gone.
Next day, gone. Nobody even remembers anymore. It's just like
I think it's because we're reaching critical mass.
Yeah, you just can't pay attention to anything for too long anymore. It's like, oh yeah, Ebola. That was like 2 months ago when you were scared of dying of Ebola.
Right? Have we heard about Ebola?
Nope.
Not since the elections.
Well, no, because there was one guy that had it. They quarantined him. They cured him, or he died, and it's over. Right?
Done.
And and as long as none of the Liberian poop parties really take off, maybe in 2015 that'll be a big thing.
I'm gonna bring it back.
Well, you're bringing back Ebola?
Yeah,
I'm bringing back the Ebola, bitches.
Bringing Ebola back.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to talk. We don't have a hell of a lot of news, and I'm going to axe a lot of it so that we can talk a little bit about Game of the Year. But before we do, Jason, do you have any New Year's resolutions? Because we're probably not going to talk to you again until the new year. Liberian poop party. That's the main one.
I'm going to bring Ebola back.
You're going to bring back Ebola.
I'm going to bring Ebola back and Quantum Leap.
See, I'm going to bring back SARS. I'm going one back further.
Nice.
Do you remember when everybody was scared of SARS?
SARS was terrifying.
Avian bird flu.
That was another big one.
Bovine spongyliform mad cow disease. Everybody was going to die of mad cow disease. E. coli in spinach. That was one of my favorites.
Shit, that was another one. Yeah,
pooping in the spinach. Spinach poop. I love it when people get all freaked out about medical catastrophes because you can point to not even 10 years. We've had like 6 of these things where everybody freaked out and it was just fucking nothing.
I'm going to try to convince everybody about the new plague going around. Start it up with some memes, maybe make a fake video.
Right.
Pleistocene herpes.
Okay.
Pleistocene super herpes.
Okay.
It's basically dinosaur herpes.
Dinosaur herpes, right.
It's now transmittable to humans.
The source. So don't make out with any dinosaurs, you guys.
Yep. Yep.
Matt Frank is screwed.
He's so screwed.
No. So no New Year's resolutions.
No,
Do you believe? I mean, do you even do them? Do you believe in them?
But not really. I mean, it's like why New Year's? Why don't you start now?
Yeah.
You lazy shit. You don't have to have some sort of artificial parameters on when you can, be the best person you can be or be self-actualized. Buy more comic books. I guess.
There you go.
Yay! There.
I'm really hoping that 2015. I mean, I think, and I said this at the end of last year, right? I'm really hoping that 2015 starts to really get good with games because this year has been a little meh for video games. Like
2000, it has.
Because when I was looking over my list of stuff for Game of the Year, right, I couldn't find a single thing on there that was like Walking Dead or like last year, The Last of Us, or like Skyrim the year before, and games or say something like Portal 2, right? Or Portal or something like that. Something that people that I know that don't work for video game shows or websites.
Oh, right.
They'll go seek it out. Like
the big crossover.
Like movie critic people, or even just people who aren't even critics at all. They'll just be like, I have a PlayStation 3, I mainly use it for Blu-rays, but man, I heard about that Skyrim game. I really want to play that.
Everybody was nuts about Skyrim. Yeah. Walking Dead,
And this year, and even Last of Us or certain other things, but this year, I just don't feel like there's been a thing. There hasn't been one single thing that was that just tore shit up, right? We had The Walking Dead season 2, but I felt like
nobody really. It did. I don't know. I never played it, and it certainly didn't have the buzz that the first one did. A lot of people are talking about the Game of Thrones game, but not really outside of.
There's only one episode of that out.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so I mean, Wolf Among Us came and went this year.
Yeah. Nobody's talking about Game of Thrones game. The Telltale one outside of gaming circles.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, if you get a chance, if you find yourself for the next few weeks looking for a Telltale fix, that Borderlands game is really good.
Oh, that's right here.
Because it's funny, and it's not... Game of Thrones, not exactly the most ha-ha humor.
Not a laugh riot.
Walking Dead, not exactly a laugh riot. The Wolf Among Us probably has some humor in it, but it's also this noir serious thing, right? Borderlands... Within 5 minutes of starting, the asshole boss of the main character is voiced by Patrick Warburton.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, all right, good. But yeah, I looked over the list this year. I pulled out everything that I played through and beat, and good stuff, but not
Yeah.
great stuff. Not stuff that you could unequivocally tell somebody you got to go play this.
Yeah, this is why you buy a system,
right,
or whatever.
Or it's important. In fact, one of the big problems this year has just been that the landscape has been bloated with the PS4, Xbox One re-releases of things.
Oh, sure.
And like, Grand Theft Auto 5 looks fucking fantastic on the new consoles. So does Shadow Warrior, Metro, Sleeping Dogs. Like, all these games look fantastic, but they're all games that have already come out. And so I try to think back of when people think about 2014, what's going to be the big thing that stands out to them. So what's the big thing that stands out to you?
For 2014?
Yeah, do you want to give us you got a top 5? What do you got?
I got
you got a loose list?
I got like a top 2.
Top 2?
Yeah.
Is that it?
I can't. Well, I didn't do my research. I didn't think about it. I should have known that this is what we were going to be doing, but I can't think of anything else that I just went crazy about.
I mean, I got a list here of all the stuff that came out this year, but it's a very big list.
Yeah, Jesus, I'm not going to read that. TLDR.
Yeah.
I didn't play a lot, so this is going to be like the best stuff that Jason played. Like Far Cry 4, not on my list because I didn't have a chance to play it. I played through Wolfenstein. That was cool.
Yeah.
Probably never going to play it again.
Yeah.
Played. Oh shit. Okay, 3. I got 3 on my list.
Okay. Do you want to give us like save the top 3 and then maybe just some honorable mentions and then give us the top 3 in order? Do you have them in order? Or are they just
sure. Yeah, I got them in order.
Stuff that stood out to you this year.
Stuff that stood out. Wolfenstein was good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What else, man?
Octodad. That was obviously one on your list.
Octodad was okay.
Titanfall.
Titanfall didn't do it for me. It was okay. Destiny was just kind of like, all right.
Yeah.
It's
Watch
fun.
Dogs.
Whatever. Watch Dogs was a big stinker.
Yeah.
Could not stay invested in that. Didn't get very far where I was just like, yeah, I'm done. Yeah, Watch Dogs was okay. Destiny was all right. Wolfenstein was better. Like to give the big fuck you to Assassin's Creed Unity. Yeah.
Did you play it?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Didn't play it because it's just so goddamn buggy. Eat a dick.
Yep.
Ubisoft.
Yeah. This has not been a good year for Ubisoft.
No.
Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed and what were the other ones? Hold on, let me look up what all Ubisoft put out this year. They had smaller stuff like Valiant Hearts and it's stuff like Valiant Hearts and Child of Light that was good. But their big stuff really kind of
there's some little stuff that I'm not even sure if this was 2014, but so I'll throw it out there and you can tell me.
Okay.
Towerfall.
Yes,
I liked that one a lot.
Yeah,
that was fun. I liked Nidhogg.
Yeah, that was the very beginning. It was like January of this year.
Yeah, I like Nidhogg a lot. That's just pure arcade. Something to make you hate the person you're playing it with.
Yeah.
There was another one like Towerfall that was
Samurai Gun.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so let's see.
That kicked ass.
No, yeah, this is the one. I mean, Assassin's Creed Unity, Far Cry 4, The Crew, South Park.
Oh, I wanted
Watch
to play
Dogs.
The Crew. I wanted to play South Park. I didn't get a chance to really. But yeah, there. I really liked some of the smaller games, like some of the smaller competitive games. Towerfall, Samurai Gun.
Mm-hmm. Actually, Samurai Gun might have been last year.
Oh, really?
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure we played it this year, though.
Yeah. Trying to think. Infamous came out this year. Diablo 3 expansion, and then the re-release on the PS4.
Man, I still haven't even gotten to the expansion. Oh, so, yeah. I've been playing the PS4 version. Well, we've actually been playing Minecraft. But we played, we made it a good way into playing back through again the PS4 version, but we haven't gotten to the Reaper of Souls expansion yet. Mm-hmm. But it's really good. It's good stuff. Yeah. So my top 3.
Destiny. All right, give me top 3. Number 3.
This is kind of a cheat.
Right.
PT.
The PT demo.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
The PT demo. I know, didn't do it for you. Shit got under my skin. Really looking forward to the full
I
game.
just wonder about putting a demo on your game.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you 100% that thing? Did you go through and get all the stuff in it?
No, I kept trying to, and then I read all of the different possible solutions for how you could 100% it.
Right.
How you could finish it.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there with my iPad in my lap, trying to do exactly what it said to meet the win criteria for getting out of that.
Yeah.
And I just kept trying it over and over and spent a couple of hours trying to get it to work. And like, okay, well, IGN says this one might work.
Right.
And IGN says this one usually works. Tried several of them and then finally said, you know what?
Go to
Close
hell.
enough.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Because that puzzle was just it was stupid.
It was obtuse. It was just it was one of those
It was
things.
like a puzzle from Riven.
Well, I almost feel like it's the sort of thing where if you watch, like, do you remember when Fez came out and it took the internet like 48 hours to basically do everything, and the last puzzle they couldn't figure out in Fez, nobody figured it out. They brute force crowdsourced solutions until they managed to get through it. Yeah. So I almost feel like we live in an age where, like, the Calendar Man shit, or if you want to put a really hard puzzle that the internet can't figure out when it puts its mind to it, you got to make it like seriously
diabolical.
obtuse.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Well, Kojima was thinking that the demo, the PT, that people were going to take weeks to figure everything out.
Right.
And it took like a day.
Well, somebody lucked onto it on a Twitch stream. Like, that was
is that what happened?
Yeah, I think that somebody was playing a Twitch stream and they just happened to do whatever the thing was, and then boom, it was done. It was like,
see, that makes me think of, if you have like 1 million chimpanzees with 1 million typewriters,
that's what we
over
have.
1 million years,
Yeah.
they'll write Shakespeare.
that's what the internet is, because if you look at the total number of minutes watched on our YouTube channel, a small, teeny tiny little indie YouTube channel, and it's like thousands of years if you add up all the things that people have watched on our website. All those 30-minute videos.
We are
add it all up.
immortal.
And then you go, so holy God, think about, PewDiePie.
Yeah.
Think about the number of years of watching that have happened on that motherfucker's channel. And then you go, yeah, you've got the internet, and if something is big on the internet and you put, especially video game fans, One Track Mind, tech savvy video game fans on it, they will sit there and beat the hell out of it until they find it.
Yeah.
And
I'm not part of that crowd.
Yeah.
You put something up against me and I don't rise to the occasion to the challenge. I'll play it for a bit until I get frustrated. I'm like, yeah, I got other shit to do.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. Yeah,
that's it. Done.
That's whenever I'm doing games that are puzzle games that have obtuse solutions and I'm playing them for review, I will try for a reasonable amount of time, and then I will go open up GameFAQs because I can't sit here on this one puzzle for a long time.
Yeah, it's that having the answers immediately available to just about everything.
Yeah,
it's like, remember back in the day playing the King's Quest and Police Quest games, and it's like, yep. I've been trying to figure out how to get Sweet Cheeks the prostitute out of jail for like 6 weeks now. And I can't do it. But you just kept doing it because you didn't have any other chance. You didn't have any other choices. Or you couldn't just get a new game.
That was I am firmly convinced that was the reason that about 60% of the subscribership of Nintendo Power was just because how the fuck is 10-year-old me going to figure out Final Fantasy without some kind of or Simon's Quest, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Or how to Simon's Quest. Oh man, I called the hint line so many times. It's like, oh, you go to this nondescript wall over here, you crouch down and then jump up and down 3 times, but you got to be holding this orb.
Right.
It's like, why would I know that?
Well, the villager had this really cryptic clue that your 12-year-old brain was supposed to figure out. You're just like,
yeah. What? Or figuring out what pattern you're supposed to go through the last temple in Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way.
Yep. Okay, well, number 2.
Oh, yeah, number 2.
Keep moving along here.
Shadow of Mordor.
Shadow of Mordor. Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
Okay. What you want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, God, it was just so... It was not really as expansive as you would think. You really have to play it with the Nemesis system, which made it a lot of fun, building up grudges against these Uruk-hai clan leaders and captains and everything. And just trying to clear the board. Like, you know what? I'm going to kill all them motherfuckers.
Right.
To where none of them are there in the spotlight anymore. But they're just like a Hydra. It's just another one always pops up,
Yeah.
And it was so violent and brutal. It was just like, you know what? Here's something that isn't quite in continuity, but could be. And it leaves out so much of the Lord of the Rings lore, but it's really about, listen, here's a bunch of orcs and an open playing field and a bunch of neat ways to stab them.
Yeah.
And stab them you do.
You're saying that you don't think the game would have been improved with the addition of way more Radagast, is what you're saying. Is that-
Yeah. I want to ride the bunny sled.
That should be a DLC. They should have an upgrade to ride the bunny sled.
Yeah.
Okay, and numero uno.
Numero uno, if you've been following me on Twitter,
Yeah.
you probably know that it's Dragon Age Inquisition.
Wow, I would not have guessed that at the beginning of the year.
Well, remember how much shit I talked about the trailer from E3 a while back?
Yep.
It was substantial.
Yep.
It was a substantial amount of shit because that trailer at E3 2013 was terrible.
It
was like the worst trailer of any game there
It
that
was
they showed.
very generic. It was super generic and just whatever, man.
It was bad.
Okay.
But man, this game is just so sprawling, and I feel like it's Mass Effect and Skyrim had a baby and then piled like all sorts of mechanics on there. And plus it was, for my experience on the PS4, it was relatively glitch free.
Okay.
There were still some glitches, but I hate saying that like it's a positive thing, but it's a lot better than a lot of the other AAA titles that were released.
Yeah.
And it was like cool characters, interesting story, so much variety, so much to do. You can just really get lost in the game. And some neat twists, and just a tremendous amount of lore that you can read, or you can read for the first half hour and then decide, I have a life to live,
right?
So I'm going to skip all of these words you're putting up on the screen.
Somewhere, a BioWare writer is just weeping uncontrollably.
I'm sorry,
about,
dude.
like-
I'm sorry. And not just a writer.
Right.
I didn't watch the credits, but it was probably a goddamn team of people.
I would imagine so.
So much.
Yep.
So much. And it's like, if it was more than a paragraph, it's like, nope, words, whatever. What does it do? So give me a buff? Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that. But yeah, it was just, there's a ridiculous amount of stuff to do. And I finished the game, and I did a lot of the side stuff, not all of it. And I think I clocked in like 92, 93 hours.
Okay.
Something like that. Had I read everything, it would have been twice that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not to mention the loading screens that go by.
Yeah.
They have so many words on them, you can't even finish reading them.
There's no way.
Until,
And we're fast readers.
Yeah.
We get like a paragraph in, and then it's like, oh, nope, done loading.
I think whenever those loading screens came up, my brain would start to do that thing. You know when you meet somebody on the street and you're trying to get out of each other's way and you're just like, you keep getting back in each other's way. It was like that with my brain. It's like, should I read it? I'm going to start. No, I'm not going to be able to finish. Oh, well, fuck it. I don't know. That's and then boom, back into the game. All right, fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that man, I feel like I don't even know you, Jason.
I
Murphy's
know,
given
right?
RPGs a game of the year.
No one would have believed it.
I thought
but
maybe. I mean,
it devoured me.
maybe. Just maybe since have we seen? Last year, was there an RPG, a Western RPG that was kind of in the same vein? Because I know Skyrim. Do you think? Did we do Game of the Year? I think we did Game of the Year in 2013, right?
I think
2012. That was
I don't remember.
Dark Souls and Skyrim and Star Wars: The Old Republic came out. Those were my.
I don't
top
remember
three.
if we did.
I think we did, but yeah, that's incredible though. That's as good a segue as any because I got 10 games over here, and I'm going to tell people my criteria before we get started. Is number one, I'm not considering any game that I didn't play all the way to the end of.
Okay.
Which means that I can't gauge Dragon Age just yet. So what's going to happen is, here's my list. Next week's podcast, I'm going to come back at you when hopefully I'm done with Dragon Age, as long as not too much gets in the way. And I'm going to, at that point, tell you where Dragon Age fits in on this list, and everything else will move either up or down accordingly.
Okay, fair enough.
So, number 10 on my list for games this year, strangely enough, and we haven't done a review on this. I know that I'm so far behind on reviews. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare was really, I mean, of its It's kind of weird how, like, last year, I think my number 10 in my Game of the Year list was Shadow Warrior.
Who are you?
Because it was a big surprise, right? This year, it's the same. I didn't expect to like just the single-player campaign of Advanced Warfare as much as I did. But, yeah, I mean, even though some of the twists and turns were there, they were easy to spot, I mean, it was good. I mean, I thought that they brought in professional actors. They put Kevin Spacey in there. They took it to the near future, so they had a little bit more expansion of the crazy Michael Bay explodey shit that you can do. And it was fun. I mean, it was last year. The thing about Call of Duty is that I almost feel like you can gauge every Call of Duty game on the story.
Yeah.
Because the gameplay is always the same. It's
Sure.
shoot and throw, and then there's a couple new things or whatever.
Yeah.
But last year's Ghost, the story was fucking terrible.
I didn't even play that one.
South American mind-warping drugs. South America was the bad guy.
right.
Last year.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so this year at least the bad guy was not South America. That's a major step in the right direction. But I honestly think that this game, that Advanced Warfare, was them at least trying to do something new, and that it hewed really well to the Call of Duty. It was always some spectacular set piece, right?
Yeah.
It was always something big and like crazy and doing this thing. And they use the near future environment to do some fun things. And so I thought it was really fun. We even played the multiplayer on Sunday streaming. It wasn't even that bad. Like, it was just, you'd go out there and shoot some people, but there was enough of that. It's like in Titanfall, you have the double jump, and they have that in Advanced Warfare, and they have some guns that do some interesting things to the point where it's not just the same meat grinder that the rest of the Call of Duties are. There's a little bit difference to it, and I really appreciated that. Number 9 was a game that I think kind of came and went halfway through the year, and I had to remember that it was out. It's Transistor.
Oh, yeah. I thought you didn't like that one for some reason.
Well, I didn't like it as much as I like Bastion, but I still really did like it.
Okay.
Like, it's just, I appreciate it when a game can pull off style the way that Transistor pulls off style.
Mm-hmm.
It's just oozing with this world and the narration and the music and the cutscenes and the kind of storyline.
They're
all
good at
just
that.
sucks you in, yeah. And I mean, they even little stuff like the fact that when the sword talks in the game, it comes out of your PlayStation 4 controller,
Right.
so
Right.
you kind of get that weird synesthesia with it. I enjoyed it. More, and I think it's got a lot of really interesting stuff. Plus, all of those. I mean, Bastion was the same way. They take the basics of a top-down action game, and then they give you all these tools to customize it in really odd ways. So you can play that game in a variety of different ways just depending on what you spec your character as, and I really, really do appreciate that. And I can't wait. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be another 2 years until they put something else out.
Yeah.
But I really, really enjoyed that. Number 8 was Far Cry 4, which I haven't had a chance to do a review for. I'm so mixed about it because in some cases Far Cry 4 is just Far Cry 3 but better.
Mm-hmm.
But that, like, I feel like they sewed up so many of the problems with Far Cry 3 because the main character is interesting. The story is interesting. They don't kill the bad guy off 2/3 of the way through the game and then introduce some garbage person, right?
Yeah.
I think that the ending to Far Cry 4 is absolutely fantastic. Like,
oh, cool.
It's hard to... I mean, I really wish that I could do a whole thing where I talk about it without spoiling it, but, like, Pagan Min's character and what your character does and the whole game has this gray morality to it where you've fallen in with these people and you're doing all this blowing shit up stuff, but it's not... As the game goes on, it becomes more and more clear that it's like, these aren't just straight good guys and bad guys. It isn't like these pirates are trying to rape all your friends. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's you're killing people and you have to keep making these decisions and there's never a clear good side or bad side. Really fantastic.
That is something you would not expect.
Yeah, the writing in Far Cry 4 is probably the best, well, almost the best writing of a Ubisoft game this year. And then on top of all that, I mean, they got that Far Cry shit down, right? You sneaking, if you want to sneak, set shit on fire, and they refined a bunch of the different ways that you can do things. Like if you you remember how you create the health syringes in Far Cry 3, right?
Right.
So if you just pick up 2 green herbs, it just makes one. You don't have to do it. It just automatically makes one.
Nice.
Streamline a bunch of stuff to give you.
What if you want to freebase it though? You got to have that option.
Okay, so you got to open up the menu and you got to put it down on the ground and
grind it up.
Yeah. You can ride a goddamn elephant. You got to hunt a honey badger, and
Big
they really
plus.
don't give a fuck. They really don't. In fact, one of the best times I ever had was when I was assaulting an enemy outpost, and I threw down some bait, and a honey badger came out, and 12 guys with machine guns started acting like 6-year-old girls. They were like, "Oh God, it's the honey badger!"
I thought you were going to say, and then I threw a honey badger in there. I'm like, oh my God, weaponized honey badgers.
Weaponized. That would have been
Game of the year.
Only thing that would have put it way further up on the list. You could ride a fucking elephant, and that's not even getting to the place where the dudes give you a bunch of drugs and you hallucinate into fucking Jim Morrison Door soundtrack, or when you take a trip to the mythical. There's so much in the game to love. And then on top of all that, you also have the co-op and the fact that you can give it to other people. It's a beautiful game. It's nice. The only complaint I may have had with it, we'll save it for the review, but is that it's maybe even too much. Like, I feel bad saying, like, oh my God, there's so much. Like, fuck it. I was going to play through Far Cry 4 before, just to knock it out before I got to Dragon Age. Far Cry 4 took me like 18 hours to beat because of the amount of shit in it, and I skipped like half of the game to get that far. Number 7, I forgot this game came out this year, as Infamous Second Son.
Oh, yeah.
Solid-ass game,
Yeah.
great introduction to the PS4, and I really enjoyed...
I found it to be inoffensive. Yeah.
That's glowing. They should put that on the box.
It's like, yeah.
Quoting figure. Inoffensive, Jason Murphy.
Infamous 3, or Infamous Second Son. Yes, this game came out in 2014. Yeah. End quotes.
No, I think that Infamous, I think that this game really, to me, it sticks out in my brain because it really kind of set the bar for what this new generation is going to be like, where we suddenly had an open world game that was kind of like Saints Row 4, right, where you have all the powers and stuff.
Right.
But the look of the world was incredible.
It was beautiful.
The particles and the textures and all the different powers that you got, like they could have gone the easy route like they did in the previous games, like electricity powers and here's fire powers. But no, one of the powers is neon. That's great. And in spite of that, I don't really like Delson Rowe. I don't really dislike Delson Rowe, and I like the fact that I'm ambiguous about the guy. He's not a cookie-cutter character. He's a character that I can actually dislike for being a douche half the time, and then like when he's being funny Spider-Man.
Sure.
You know? And the way that the story ends up with who the big bad is and why they're doing what they're doing was really interesting. I really even enjoyed the DLC. Played all the way through the DLC with Fetch, and it was just a really enjoyable experience all around. Number 6 is a game that I really haven't had a lot of time to play, but every moment that I've played it, I've enjoyed fantastically. And that's Super Smash Brothers on the Wii U.
Fuck off. Really? You got to be kidding me. What? Really? I haven't played it, but my previous experiences with Smash Brothers has been what the hell is going on? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of flashing. Mm-hmm. I lost.
Yep. Well,
like an old man.
Here's the thing: is that I feel that way about Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. I feel that way whenever I try to play Street Fighter.
Sure.
But Smash Brothers is something altogether different because it doesn't require you to learn any kind of complicated button presses at all. It's got a very simple set of rules that makes it so that anybody can get into it. And when we would sit here playing the game, it was like I never felt like I got outfoxed by somebody who knew how to do a fireball better than me.
Right.
Like, I might have gotten outfoxed by somebody who knew how to play Kirby better than me, Amanda. But it was still fun and just completely chaotic, and there's shit all over the screen, but just fun. Like a great. It's weird. Nintendo's put out a bunch of stuff for the Wii U this year, and none of it is bad. It's all very fully featured. It's all super freaking fun. Just easy to get into. We got to the point where we were playing 4 of us and 4 computer opponents all free for all at the same time, and the game just lets you go completely berserk and bananas. And again, it's funny because now that I've played a Smash Brothers game, I can go back to that PlayStation All-Stars game. I mean, you remember when all the Smash Brothers people were like, "Oh, this is garbage."
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It is garbage.
Like when you open up the screen, the character select screen in Smash Brothers, and you see everybody who's ever been in a Nintendo game, and some people who haven't even been in Nintendo games, and then you could make your own character with a Wii and put what was, remember that dumb commercial, Abraham Lincoln?
Oh,
Wii,
right.
I mean, you weren't even here when we were playing the live stream. I've got the custom Jeff me with the Princess Peach hair and a biker jacket on.
Yeah.
and that character whoops some ass. But no, it's fantastic.
That sounds like some wish fulfillment right there.
It's my Halloween costume next year. No, absolutely fantastic. Solid product. No bugs. No must. Just bring it up. You can play it on anything. You can play it on the pad or controllers or Wii controllers or whatever. Absolutely fantastic. They even have a Mario Party game that's in there, where you move your guys around this little Trivial Pursuit board, and then if you beat up other people, you get all of their fighters as stock, and so the person with
that sounds kind of neat.
It's weird. You gather stock of the other people's fighters, and then when you go into the final battle, it's like just you play until you're out of fighters, and it's crazy. I mean, all kinds of stuff. There's all these unlocks and trophies and all this crap that you can get. Very fun game, easy to get into. I had a blast. Number 5 is Wolfenstein. And some people that now this is where all of the Nintendo fans out there are just like, say, yes, I had a great time with Smash Brothers, but Wolfenstein really caught me off guard in a way that I just wasn't. I wasn't ready for. And it's the kind of game that I feel like is something that people should pay attention to in game development, because we've got on this list so far Call of Duty and Far Cry 4, which are both kind of at opposite ends, I feel, of the spectrum. Of Call of Duty is a very corridor-based shooter. Far Cry 4 is very open. But I love the fact that Wolfenstein is able to give you just enough room that you can kind of plot your own path, but not a huge open world.
Right.
Enough so that there's 4 or 5 different ways to get to your objective.
You're guided, but you're not in a tight little corridor.
Right, and it gives you the freedom to basically play the way that you want to. You want to play stealth. You want to go in with 2 machine guns. And then they have things in there like the laser that you upgrade over the course of the game. It lets you do all this crazy other stuff. All those perks that are tied to doing feats in the game, like killing.
And a fun story.
And a really fun story. I only played through half of it, and I still someday would like to go back and play through the other side of it because
because you can play through 2 different ways.
Yeah, it's to
the end.
You make choose the difference at the beginning, but all the trappings of stuff of this world where the Nazis have taken over, and you've got German beetles, and you've got this crazy resistance. I thought the story was really well written. I thought that B.J. Blazkowicz was a surprisingly well-rounded character that you kind of cared about.
You just thought he was just going to be a murder machine.
Right. I mean, they even have there's a bunch of sub-storylines with the people that are in the resistance. Did you play all the way through the game?
Yes.
Okay.
I played through one of the scenarios all the way through.
There's without no spoilers and any of this stuff, right? But there was the Hodor guy, and his story conclusion was just. There were several times playing Wolfenstein when I kind of was starting to get a legitimate tear to my eye of just like, how have you done this?
Yeah.
How have you made me care about these people?
Surprisingly emotional.
Yeah.
But some of them, a lot of those moments, you just don't want to spoil them, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that anybody who hasn't played that game should totally go play it. And I think that it's probably one of the most creative things this year that they called that game Wolfenstein. Because that's what threw me off, is I wasn't ready for it. Number 4, Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I'll just add on to what you say by saying that out of all the games that came out this year, I think that Middle-earth achieved something that I may never... When they talked about the Nemesis system, I know that we were both sitting here going...
Very skeptical.
No fucking way.
Very skeptical.
No fucking way. By about hour 3 of Middle-earth...
That's why I was playing it.
I was like, Grognak is gonna... I am gonna fucking murder that guy.
I will eliminate your entire bloodline.
That's right. You have killed me twice already, and now you're that much more powerful.
Yeah,
I don't
and then
care.
You're pulling up the map like, where is that motherfucker?
Come here, you fucking piece of shit.
It doesn't even matter. It's like, I don't need to kill him.
No.
For any reason. It's like, no. I'm finding this guy,
right?
And we're gonna get square.
And,
all right.
And I don't know who it was that was building that game and I don't know what kind of magic they did, but like the shit they say to you when you clash with them, and you're just like, and after about an hour and a half, 2 hours of the game, you know these people, and you're like, oh, I'm coming for you.
Exactly. And then it's like, oh, that's where you're at?
Right.
There are a bunch of exploding barrels there. That's your kryptonite, motherfucker. I got you.
Yep.
I got you.
Yep.
You build up these grudge relationships with these guys through the Nemesis system, and I thought it was going to be a gimmick at best, but instead it turned into the reason to play the game.
Yeah, and in spite of all that, the other thing that I find that's completely crazy, they're fucking orcs.
Yeah.
No Lord of the Rings movie or anything has ever, like, they all have character, and that's what's so bizarre is that they're like randomly generated, but they have enough character that you feel like you kind of know them. They look different.
It gives
enough.
you the bio of them whenever you shake somebody down and get intel on them.
Yep,
which was another cool little aspect.
Yep, and I also got to give this as being outside of maybe even, we mentioned this in a review, but maybe even close to even Dark Souls, of just like the way they handle death in Shadow of Mordor is enough to make it to where you don't want it to happen.
Yeah.
But if it does happen, you're not going to reload. You're going to deal with the consequences of your actions. It just, I cannot wait for the next thing that these guys put out, because this is one of the most creative ways of taking a game that could have just been a straight up Assassin's Creed ripoff and making it into something that it's fucking number 4 on my Game of the Year list. Right? Couldn't put it down from start to finish.
I thought it was number 3.
Number 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then on top of that, a surprisingly well-crafted story. That totally feels like it has enough to keep you together. I love the design on all the bad guys, like the fucking minions of Sauron, and how the crazy spikes coming off of their heads. And the absolutely nut bar guys. So, no, that was number 4. Number 3 is Bayonetta 2.
Oh, right.
Because Bayonetta 2... I've been waiting for Bayonetta 2 for, what did they announce that, 3 years ago or something like that?
Yeah, and it was like playable at E3 2 years ago.
Yeah, like solid playable.
Yeah.
Like it looked like it was ready to ship 2 years ago. And you know what? After 3 years, you'd think that the hype had been built up high enough so that there was no way that it couldn't be disappointed. This is totally great. Wonderful game. Didn't change the formula that much, but it doesn't matter because it's been so long since the original Bayonetta came out that it's great. They changed enough to make it feel new. The storyline ties back into the first Bayonetta. If you've played that, and if you haven't, it still stands on its own 2 feet. I feel like both Bayonetta games are a masterclass in just when you get used to the enemy grouping that they've got at you. It's like the game is psychic and it knows. As soon as you figured out how to deal with that flying guy, here's a guy with big shields. Guess what? And now here's the big shield guy and the flying guy.
Oh, yeah.
And now you got to deal with them both at the same time.
That's really just kind of the key of progressive difficulty in games, and teaching you without saying, here's a tutorial. Okay, play the game.
Yeah. But upping that, and the fact that each one of those characters, it's not like the new guy is just a red version of the old guy, right? They're all wonderful character design, wonderful environmental design, the crazy ass music, and the over the top dialogue, and fighting on top of an airplane, and fucking just balls out crazy the entire time. That thing. Bayonetta 2 is great, and then the fact that it's on the Wii U and that it comes with Bayonetta 1 is just like you're getting so much in that one little package. It's got multiplayer, for fuck's sake.
Oh, wow.
Where you can join one other person and do challenges against the computer together to try to get score that you can use to unlock stuff in the game.
2.
It's
South
a full
Park, Stick of
package,
Truth.
and it was totally goddamn South Park Stick of Truth.
I got to play this.
It was, the only problem with South Park Stick of Truth is that if you're not a South Park fan and you think those guys are pretentious and full of shit, of course you're not going to like it.
See, that's the thing. I really like South Park, but I haven't kept up with it.
I think that South Park Stick of Truth is, again, okay, let's take a moment here. Obsidian that made South Park Stick of
Yeah.
Truth. I hate all their games.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But South Park Stick of Truth.
Well documented.
Yes, very well documented. I'm kind of sick of talking about it, but South Park Stick of Truth is an RPG that keeps throwing new mechanics at you, that keeps throwing new stuff at you. Every minute of that game, there's not a dull moment. It's like every time you hit something, it's a new joke, it's a reference to something in the show. The trash loot that you just sell is all references to episodes of South Park, and they do enough to weave in 4 or 5 different things from the show into its own storyline. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was wonderful, and it never outstayed its welcome to me. In fact, I could have, it was one of those things you just could not put down from start to finish. I mean, you got to learn how to give somebody an abortion, for fuck's sake. And then it becomes a thing you have to do later on.
Oh, my God.
In the game. I mean, seriously, like I can't even. There's a boss fight where you got to dodge testicles. Al Gore. There's a sub-quest in the game to defriend Al Gore from your Facebook. Like,
why have I not played this?
It's incredible, and they've got the entirety of the town of South Park all mapped out with everything from the show. There's not really a thing that I can think of that didn't get referenced somewhere in there that's been in South Park the show. And as far as a licensed game goes, I think that this is the best I've ever played. This is the best licensed game I've ever played because
better than Batman Arkham Asylum?
Well, what I'm talking about is licensed off of a TV show or a movie, right?
Okay.
Because Arkham Asylum isn't a movie,
okay.
right?
All right. It's careful. Tread lightly,
okay.
sir.
Yeah.
Loco Steve is always watching.
I'm not going to badmouth Arkham Asylum.
I can't believe that goddamn honky said that.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's better than just about anything else I've ever played, and I think it goes to show what you can do when you involve the creators of the content in what you're making, and you take your time to the point where what they put out was fantastic. Also, it's incredible the way that the entire game looks just like an episode of the TV show. I mean, it just looks exactly like you're watching South Park on TV, except that you've got your own character going around. Yeah, it had some bugs, but other than that, for the time, it's only about 12 hours long. But in that time, I mean, the time when I'm not even going to talk anymore. The fart magic, and then all right. And number one, and once again,
I thought South Park was going to be your number one.
It's number two. That people should remember. Dragon Age may come out somewhere in this list next week and bump everything a little bit. But right now, number one is Dark Souls 2.
Oh,
because that came out this year.
Silly me. I was like, what is it? What will it be?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what. Dumbass. Of course, Jason. That's what it is.
And you know what? I don't think it's funny because
surprise.
Dark Souls 2, when I originally played it, like I have a really hard time reviewing Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Because you play it, and then like John and I played all the way through it on Patreon.
Right.
And I spent all this time digging up more of the lore that I hadn't gotten into and looking at theories about how things had gone. And there's actually a really sophisticated story in Dark Souls 2. It's just it's hidden way more than the story for Dark Souls 1 is.
Right.
And part of the ambiguity of the storyline is kind of the way that the game is put together. It's more ambiguous. It's more for the community to put together their own fan theories. And once I did that, it started to get really, really interesting. I don't think it's as good as Dark Souls 1, but it's very close. And that still puts it a head and shoulders above most of the other stuff that came out this year. Like I agonized over this because I looked at the stuff on this list and I wanted to say, of the games that came out this year, what are the ones that I've wanted to play the most, that I've gone back and gotten into the most, or the stuff that's hooked my attention more than anything else? And Dark Souls 2 is really the answer to
Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah, I know it's all cliche and shit. But yeah, it's fantastic. Now, the real question is going to be, is Bloodborne going to be my game of the year next year? Next year, we've got some actual heavy-hitting contenders.
That's the term I was about to use.
Yeah.
Uncharted 4, sir.
Yeah.
Evolve.
Uncharted 4.
The Order. Just so much stuff that looks really intriguing.
Arkham Goddamn Knight. Yes. There's a few other ones that I had on this, that I had potentials on this list that I'll just, these are kind of runners up. Banner Saga.
That's one that I remembered earlier.
So glad that I got to play it. Can't wait to play the second one. Hyrule Warriors was actually really fun. I mean, it's pretty good. And I I would like to give Nintendo credit for trying something different with Zelda.
Right.
And then Sunset Overdrive, I felt kind of started with a bang, and that bang couldn't keep going over the entire game. But when you first got into it, there was so much interesting, just crazy color in your face and explosions and stuff like that it was really cool. But you know what? We're going to go ahead, and that's it for right now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we might address one news thing real fast, and then we're going to answer as many emails as we can get essentially get through in about an hour. So stick with us, and we'll be right back for second half. Cool. All right, and we are back. And before we get into the emails, I think this is going to be a fairly short conversation.
Yep.
We had one piece of news. There's one big piece of news this week. Hackers took down the Sony and Microsoft networks for everybody for Christmas because I don't know. I don't really want to go around
because you can.
I don't really want to go around inviting Rage Select to be a target or anything.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I don't think that. I guess here's the only thing I have to say. I hope that I don't think anybody actually listens to this show, but it seems like the target in what they were saying, it seems like the target of their ire was to show people how shitty Microsoft and Sony's servers were.
Sure.
But it seems like the people that got hurt more than Sony and Microsoft were people who got
the customers.
Yeah,
and
Christmas.
I don't think any of the customers who were denied access are mad at Sony and Microsoft, really.
Yeah.
If they know what happened. I think most of their ire is probably directed towards the hackers. And if the hackers are altruistic, I don't know, it just seems like if you want to attack somebody with your elite skills, then I don't know. Aren't there better targets? Aren't there better ways to do it?
Or I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I feel like between this and there was the anonymous hack, a bunch of stuff that got published, people's email addresses and passwords.
If it was in fact anonymous,
right? Yeah.
I mean, you never know who's really doing it.
And then you got that. I mean, I feel like we've actually hit a place where you've got. I'm not really smart enough to talk about this stuff, but you've got the Sony hack, right? You've got the DDoS on the Microsoft and Sony services. You've got all this user account email stuff.
It's like
it seems like it's the time to have a really legitimate conversation about.
Yeah.
Do we need to rework the way that security works on the internet?
It's like, this is the world we live in now.
Right?
This is. It's like, and if we're vulnerable to people who are just going to deny us, who can relatively easily deny us access to something really benign,
right?
Like Xbox Live.
What, I can't download the 60 gig day one patch for Assassin's Creed Unity?
Right. That's relatively benign. It's like, think about all the other serious stuff that's just lying out there like an unprotected fetus in the middle of a highway.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess at the end of the day, boy, that's shitty. Is number one. Number two, I hope that people who are way smarter than I am about this shit are considering what this means and trying to. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
It didn't affect me at all, really. Very, very, very little. I was like, oh, it's down? Okay, well, I got other stuff to do.
Yeah. Anyway, well, let's go to emails. I don't know. We could talk about that in depth more, but I feel like we've kind of got a little bit of a time crunch today, so let's go over the emails. Let's see here. Oh, my God. Every time I put out a thing for emails, it's crazy amounts of emails come in. But
it's better than crickets.
Well, yeah.
Tumbleweeds in your inbox.
It's just I feel bad because I put out this email and say, hey, put in your emails. And then it's like I get too many to be able to read on the show. Even if the whole show is just emails and all I did was read all the emails, still couldn't get to them all. But this first one comes in from Diego. Diego says, hey, guys and gals, big up to the Dongacles, yo. Word to his mother.
Yes.
A lot of people on the internet like to use the phrase, vote with your wallet, or at least something similar. I do agree that if you'd like to express a dislike for something, you shouldn't buy it, and maybe even ask others not to buy it. My question for you guys is, can you think of a product, game, or otherwise that got sent to the grave because of bad word of mouth? Also, in the early stages of a new generation of consoles, is the vote with your wallet thing even a valid thing? Seems to me that a game, however the quality, is going to do fairly well in these game dry times. Speaking of earlier 2014 and not the shitstorm of games we had in October and November. On a side note, I love what you guys are doing at Rage Select. I feel like I know you guys after all these years of listening. You really do let us peek into your lives, and I know it can't be easy keeping up with it all. So I send you happy thoughts and say Skål, which means cheers in Swedish. Thanks for the funnies, Diego the Chilean Swede.
What? All right. Skål.
Yeah.
Yeah, while you're drinking your caipirinha or whatever.
I can think of
pisco sour.
I can think of one. I can think of a couple. I think that
Duke Nukem.
Duke Nukem, what, forever?
Yeah. That could have been a huge game.
You think
Seriously.
so?
Yeah. But I think bad word of mouth did tank it. And it was deserved bad word of mouth from what I understand. I never played it.
Yeah.
But I think that could have been a massive hit.
I think you're delusional, crazy person.
You don't think
what
so?
are you talking about? No, I mean, I think it was. I mean, I don't think that anybody thought that it was going to be a good game, right? After all those years of development hell. I mean, you could put together a good trailer for it, obviously, but I mean, I don't know. Like,
it's the whole buy with your wallet thing. Only really seems to work, and I'm just pontificating here. I could be totally wrong, but it only really seems to work with franchises as you start getting diminishing returns. And people start saying, okay, well, this Call of Duty wasn't as good as the last one, and then this next one isn't as good as the one before it,
right,
and so forth. And so you start seeing just less and less and less. But yeah, the whole buy with your wallet thing, it's a tricky proposition, or vote with your wallet. It's a tricky proposition in that it's hard to actually make that work because marketing goes a long way to cover up all of the shortfalls of a crap product. Like, Transformers movies are dog shit, and yet they still make tons of money.
Yep. I mean, I feel like that it's something that we've been saying for years, right? But it's one of these things you're trying to hammer home into people's brains, right? And you and I feel like both have enough experience, and I know that a lot of the people that listen to this show are the same age as we are. I don't know if they're into games in the same way that we are, but here's the thing. Never trust a trailer. Never trust a preview.
Yeah.
Don't trust anything unless you're reading something after the game has come out.
Yeah.
Because game companies can put pressure on journalist outlet. I mean, that was one of the whole things that kind of came out of Gamergate this year, was talking about some people feel like this is the legitimate thing to talk about, is the fact that in order to get a review copy of X game, that company, the PR people in that company, want you to have 4 puff pieces about that game on your site before it comes out.
Yeah, and then there's also the embargo about, wasn't there an embargo on Unity until like the day after it was released or something?
I think it was day of.
Yeah.
Where they sent out review copies, but they wouldn't. You see that shit all the time. I mean, you see that in movies and stuff all the time as well, but the thing is, it's weird. The only thing it takes for you to not get burned is to wait like a week after a game is out to just see what the general, not the pre-release stuff. And in some cases, you can get a good feel for what news outlets will shoot straight with you and which ones are going to be gloss over some of the problems. And you can read user reviews as well. I mean, there's no shortage of information about whether a game is good or not after it comes out. You just have to be willing to wait. You can't get sucked up in that hype machine and just I can't wait, I gotta have it today.
That whole, like, sometimes you're gonna get burned by being an early adopter.
Yep. But the two examples that I can think of, one of them's not really bad PR, it's another thing, but I was thinking of the PSP and the way the PSP really tanked, and it was big mostly because of the security holes in it. Developers didn't want to make anything for it because they knew that it was so open that they cracked it so early and so hard that half of your user base were just going to steal the game.
Yeah.
So why even bother? I feel like it was a really good lesson for Sony, because I don't know if you remember, but like early on in the PS3 development, like they found a bit of a loophole. Well, the PS3, remember, shipped with the ability to put Linux on it, right?
Oh, right.
Install Linux on it. And then early on in the PS3 development, there was a time when they started to find some holes, and Sony shored that shit up immediately.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, here's a firmware patch. It gives you $1 million, just download it. It's great. But the game that I can think of that probably got, that I see that got killed, and I know it's a very controversial opinion, was DMC. That there was
yeah.
so many Devil May Cry fans who just didn't want any part of that game.
Yeah.
To the point where I feel like it really, really tanked when it was actually.
It was a fun game.
I thought it was a fun game. You know, and that's the only thing. I understand all the arguments before you go into the comment. Before you still your fingers for a moment, I understand everything that you're saying, and I like all the other Devil May Cry games. I thought that one was fine as well. So, but I can't think of very many other. That's the other problem is that when you look at this as an abstract question, you go, how many games have gotten screwed by negative?
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
expectation?
most games that come out these days that get any sort of attention, any sort of marketing or coverage in the gaming press, are at least decent.
Yeah.
You know, for the most part, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you see like reviews on so many games on a 0 to 10 scale.
Yeah.
Usually go from like 7 to 10.
Yeah.
You know, you rarely see anything get below that, and if it gets below that, nobody's probably heard of it anyway.
Well, for my money, it's like I could have. Well, it was a good thing. I could have played all the way to the end of Duck Dynasty and gave it a 1, right,
Yeah.
or a 0, or whatever. Fuck you, whatever it is. But at this point, for me at least, I know enough to go. I know Duck Dynasty is a bad game, and there's other. I need to beat Dragon Age. And then I need to go back, and there's like 3 or 4 other games that I would like to put more time into. I don't have time to be playing every shitty-ass game that comes out. But these days, I feel like companies aren't even going to release a game unless they have enough millions of dollars to throw enough hype behind it.
Right.
People are going to go out and buy it day one no matter what. See Watch Dogs.
Yeah,
right?
Depends on I mean, it depends on the budget of the game, but
Yeah.
most of the AAA releases, they're I don't know if they're going to recoup their costs. I mean, there are games that still we think are successful that the publisher took a bath on.
Oh, sure.
Well,
they had we were talking it was at the beginning of this year, we were talking about Square Enix's CEO who resigned over the performance of Tomb Raider and Hitman.
Yeah.
And
which we thought were fucking fun.
And they sold several million copies. They just didn't. They were projecting that it was going to be. I feel like it's some weird thing where they're breathing each other's farts too much. And they get all like brainwashed where they're like, yeah, this new Tomb Raider game's going to sell as much as Call of Duty. And you go, no, it's not. It's never going to.
Yeah.
Like Call of Duty was down 27% this year.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. And it was huge. But yeah, I'm trying to think of any other games that I know. I mean, like even Alien. It's funny because Alien's Colonial Marines. It still seems like everybody that I know played it.
Yeah.
They all talk about how shitty it was, and it's like if from the first day that it came out, you would know how shitty it was. Why the hell did you go out and buy it after the reviews were there? Like
Pitchford.
All right, so our next question comes in from Jose Luis. It's written all as one word, so I don't know if that's Joselius or something.
It's Joselius.
Yeah,
he's from Gondor.
Okay. I just imagine an orc walking in and Joselius. Hello, Jeff and Jason. 2 questions. Uh-oh. This guy's breaking the unspoken rule. What is something that you're into that is difficult for you to get other people into, and how would you attempt to get someone who knows little to nothing about the thing into it? For example, I'm really into anime, and there are a few shows I would recommend with Western sensibilities to test the waters with them. Side question, my parents got me a Taco Bell gift card for Christmas. So what would you consider to be the Rage Select combo meal? The cards, he got multiple cards. The cards are worth $20. His parents got him multiple $20 gift cards for Taco Bell.
God,
holy shit.
That's good. Those are good folks, man.
Thanks for answering my question.
Raising you right, Joselius of Gondor.
That's right. For the constant stream of great laughs and entertainment, Merry Late Christmas and a Happy New Year from Joselius.
Jose Luis.
Or Jose Luis. Well, you didn't put a space between it. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so what do we want to do? We want to run Taco Bell first, the easy answer, and then go to the harder answer?
My preferred thing, I like, I mix it up quite a bit, but I like getting a little bit of the crunchy and a little bit of the soft. I like Nachos Belgrande, one of my good standbys, and like a quesarito.
See, I have this order that used to be really easy, and then they kept changing shit. So now I've got to be a special order dickhead when I go through the menu. So I like to get the crispy potato soft taco, but they put some spicy sauce on it. And I like the Baja sauce instead.
Yeah.
So that double-decker taco, and then a chicken burrito, but with the regular chicken, not the super spicy, give you gut burn chicken.
Little bitch.
And then a potato, beefy potato burrito with no sour cream. So
What an asshole.
I know. I feel bad every time that I do it.
It's like, I don't even know why I slow down. I just should roll my window down as I drive by the order thing.
Yeah.
And just be like, hey, it's me. And just pull up, and then they throw food in the window. I throw cash like I'm going through a damn toll booth, and that's it.
This mental image of you like bypassing the order window and just rolling up to the window. They're like, "Sir, can we help you?" You start throwing money in there. You're like,
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care.
It's all the same.
Just whatever. It's just orange sauce on corn.
Give me this much.
Whatever it is. How much will this get me? Here's a $100 bill. I don't care.
What was the other one?
Something that you're into that's difficult for other people to get into. How do you get them into it?
Yeah. I've actually, do this with movies and stuff like that quite a bit. Sometimes comic books, but they're usually specific ones, of course. I actually had to, constantly try and convince people that Arrow's a pretty good show.
Yeah.
Not great, but pretty good. And a lot of people, especially comic fans,
Glowing praise.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Give me cancer or
Yeah,
anything.
I like it. It's cool. But I try to convince people, usually comic book fans, like Bo just will not hear of it.
Yeah.
Because Green Arrow is his favorite character, and he's just like, no!
Yep.
But, I'll, I've been on the other end of it. People kept trying to tell me for years, no, dude, Clone Wars is a good show.
Yeah.
And I finally watched a few of them, a few months ago, and I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yep.
I like this.
Yep. I feel like it's just a matter of when you're trying to get other people into it. It's a matter of you got to ease them in. Like if you're trying to get somebody into anime, right? You got to hand them something that's not. Whenever I'm trying to convince anybody to watch anime, I'll hand them Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah,
because Cowboy Bebop has the jazz soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have as much of the crazy tropes, the giant teardrop or the lines or anything.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's much more easy to get into.
Yeah.
And it's got a good hook. It's got a good first episode that really can kind of get you in there if you're willing to mess with it. So I always feel like there's a good entry point to get people in there, where if you could just get people to the thing that you like, that's the easy one though. But like, as somebody who for years has been screaming about Dark Souls or Metal Gear, I understand that it's really hard to get people into those things. Just like I'm sure there are people that have screamed at me for years about Dota, right?
Oh, right.
And it's like, I would love to get into Dota, but it's just too much. It's too much for me to invest in.
And there's a lot of abuse.
Yeah. And
Yeah. It would be daunting enough to get into Dota if everyone was like, oh, hey, welcome.
Right.
Let me walk you through this. I'll be your guardian angel through Dota.
as opposed to, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Hit him with the...
Drink bleach and kill your family.
That's right. So I mean, for his question of how do you get people in? Well, okay. So what do you think is it comics? Do you think is the big thing that have you ever evangelized comics to somebody, eased them into comics?
Yeah, just comics in general sometimes, and it kills me because we've got so many people. Everybody loves Guardians of the Galaxy,
Right.
Most people love Guardians of the Galaxy, but I'm like, there's a Guardians of the Galaxy comic book.
Yep.
It's like one of the comic writers, I can't remember who, put it on Twitter. He said, "Wow, I really wish all the people who watched Avengers and went out and tried shawarma afterwards would buy an Avengers comic."
Oh, right. Yep.
It's like, yeah, exactly.
But the problem with that particular statement, and even the problem with the Guardians of the Galaxy, is that I feel like Marvel has done a bad job of giving you an entry point.
Yeah.
So you say, hey, I'm going to go read Avengers. All right.
Yeah.
There's 40 years and 6,000 issues of Avengers.
Absolutely.
Which team are you going to read? Which arc are you going to read? Where are you going to start?
Yeah.
It's the same way that I feel like a lot of Doctor Who like the smartest thing that Doctor Who did was rebooting
Yeah.
a few years, 5 or 6 years ago, because there's only like 7 seasons, and you can give that to somebody, as opposed to if you tried to give them
Yeah.
the beginning.
Well, you see, in 1965.
Right, and that's one of the problems with, I've never read Guardians of the Galaxy before,
Yeah.
but where the fuck do you start? Do you start at the beginning? Do you start on one of the storylines? Where the
Right.
hell do you
Right.
begin Guardians of the
Yeah,
Galaxy?
it's tough. And they're starting to get better about that, I think, by having more, like in comic books anyway, having more stepping stones and, hey, here's a jumping on point, and here's a jumping on point. You're still going to miss stuff. There's still continuity.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I remember when they launched, like in Marvel, the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
And then within about a year, they had the Ultimate Universe
was
so
a
goddamn
mess.
convoluted
Yeah.
that it wasn't even a jumping on point anymore.
Yeah.
Like, the only one of those Ultimate comics that ever did right, I felt like, was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because they took
Agreed.
it so slow.
It was so decompressed.
Yeah,
It was
that-
the first issue, it took, what, like a year
Nothing
to
like,
tell the first issue of Amazing Spider-Man?
Yep, nothing really
Or
happened.
Amazing Fantasy 15 or whatever?
Actually, I remember when that stuff started. Brad, who works down at Austin Books, or I don't know if he does anymore. It's been years since I've been there. I was like, "What is this?" And he was like, "Well, okay, so the first Ultimate Spider-Man takes the first issue of Spider-Man and makes it into like 14 issues, and the first Ultimate X-Men takes like the first 30 issues of X-Men and makes it into one comic."
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I just finding something that's easy, and more than anything,
Yeah.
it's like something specific.
Yeah.
If you want somebody to get into something, handing them a very specific, like, I feel like Batman's easy, right? Because there's about 6 to 10 really good self-contained Batman stories. You can just hand somebody a book and
That's
go,
true.
Go read
Yeah.
this, right?
Everybody knows, Batman.
Yeah.
Parents were killed. He's a rich guy, becomes a badass.
Or even Superman, you can hand somebody All-Star Superman.
Oh,
and just go
yeah.
like, wow,
Yeah. I think, there are actually a lot of gateway drugs right now, and a lot of them are indie comics.
Yeah.
Like Sex Criminals or Afterlife
read
with
that.
Archie.
Okay.
Which is fantastic.
Is that the new Archie comic?
It's not the relaunch of the Archie. It's actually so Hot Dog, Jughead's dog gets killed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Okay.
It's really dark. It's adults only. But it's called Afterlife with Archie. And or something like that. Jughead's dog
Archie
gets,
goes to hell?
No,
Is that
no.
where we're going with this?
No, hell goes to Archie. Jughead's dog dies. Jughead's dog, Hot Dog. He takes Hot Dog to Sabrina the Teenage Witch and begs her to bring Hot Dog back to life.
What the fuck is going on in Archie?
Sabrina gets the fucking Necronomicon.
What?
I'm not making this up.
What?
Yeah, she gets the Necronomicon, brings Hot Dog back to life, but he's like a zombie Cujo dog. He bites Jughead. Jughead goes to prom. Jughead's a zombie.
Right.
Zombie outbreak.
Right.
Sabrina gets sold to Cthulhu. It's fucking crazy.
What are you talking about?
It's amazing.
This is the fever dreams of a madman that you're
And
spinning.
I don't read Archie, but I read this. And it's
Wow.
there's some gateway drugs like Sex Criminals and stuff like that where they're only, a few issues out, and grab a trade, Saga, grab the first Saga trade, see if you
Yep.
like it, you know.
I feel like you've just sold me on this new Archie comic,
It's
which is a
badass,
weird
dude.
feeling.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. How much time we got? We got about 15 minutes left here. Damn. I'm going to start. Okay. I'm going to start using some of the very short questions that I
Okay.
picked out this week. So for all those folks who sent in more detailed questions, I'm very sorry, but send them in again next week. Hello, Jeff and Jason. As the year comes to a close, it needs to be asked, what is the most important thing you have learned this year? Also, will there ever be a pantheon of Rage Select shirt or poster in the future? Just a thought. Cheers, composite who horrible. Maybe. I need to get back in 2014. One of my New Year's resolutions is just give you guys some more shirts to buy because we've only had like 3 this year. And
It's
they
been a
always
while.
do fairly well, but
Yeah, everybody seems to get a kick out of
just
enough
coming up with shirts is the only problem.
enough to justify creating them. Enough
Running,
people are
yeah.
into them, you know.
Best
What
thing you've learned this year.
what did I learn this year? Oh, you know what?
What's that?
I learned, and I will tell you my secrets on January 19th on National Geographic. There's some stuff that I learned that's pretty exciting.
Okay.
Some of it involving car theft.
Oh, shit.
It's very, very easy.
Yikes. Okay. So you
Hacking the
learned
system January 19th.
You don't have to pretend.
I know.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Rage Select listeners. You guys should tune into National Geographic January 19th to see Jason Murphy
Yes.
and Brian Brushwood hacking the system.
Yes.
It's your civil patriotic duty, and if you don't watch it, your dick and or tits will fall off, whichever you have, or both, depending.
10 episodes.
Right.
2 every Monday night for 5 weeks.
There you go. Boom.
Yeah.
We don't have to be coy about this shit.
There is some knowledge. Some knowledge bombs in there. Some things that I learned.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I couldn't talk about a lot of the really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So I will impart to you that all it takes is cinnamon,
Okay.
powdered cinnamon,
Right.
black charcoal,
Okay.
a chemistry set, and some aged human urine to make white phosphorus.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. That's what I learned in 2014.
Now I'm on the watch list too. I'm just kidding. I was already on the watch list.
You all are now.
Let's see stuff that I learned this year. God, I don't know. I learned that I need to work less.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This year has pretty much just been a blur. It's kind of crazy that it's already December. You know what I learned? Okay, I'll tell you the big lesson that I learned in 2014, Jason.
What'd you learn?
You remember the end of last year when everybody was like, fuck 2013, this was a shit year.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck 2014, this was a shittier year than
2014 was
2013.
kind of a shit year.
And I am goddamn, I don't care if I've got to stick sparklers in people's anuses. Next year's going to be fucking fantastic.
Woo!
I don't know why.
Yeah.
If I got to set myself on fire, that's what's going to happen.
That's what it's going to take for me.
That's what's going to take?
For you to get set on fire.
Me to get set on fire?
The self-immolation, when that happens, I'm going to be like, he was right.
No.
2015, banner fucking year.
Well, I was talking about you put the goo on that makes it so you don't actually catch on fire.
Oh.
Right? You catch on fire and then you run down the street.
I was hoping we were going to have a fun little YouTube viral video.
Well, only one. You want me to take the fire challenge? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
I want you to take the fire challenge and the cinnamon challenge at the same time.
and then what? Somehow I make and then I pee and then suddenly it's white phosphorus. Oh God!
Yes.
In my mouth. How did that happen?
White phosphorus can be created within the human bladder.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Actually, you know what I learned this year? VR. I'm all in.
All in.
I'm all in. I know some people don't like that, and some people hate it when I talk about it. Every time I put that fucking Oculus on, shit's like magic. It's fucking magic in the future.
Wizardry.
And next year, I so want to go to E3 just to go to wherever the booth is with Morpheus, just to check that out.
Oh, yeah.
Because
right.
if next year is the year when they can start making that shit available to the public, I swear to God, you guys, once you see this shit, it's just going to blow your fucking socks off.
There are a lot of people who still are not sold because they haven't tried it.
And I feel like it's impossible to explain to them until they put it on their head and they see it for themselves. Yep. All right.
That's one of those things. How do you sell people on VR?
You put it on their face. And
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, my God, how did I ever live without it?
Where are the glasses?
That's right. All right. Dear Jeff and Jason, with Telltale announcing a Minecraft game, do you think there is too much Telltale? This one's from Sun. Did you see this announcement last week?
I did.
Minecraft Adventures.
I think that's weird.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think there's too much Telltale. They're doing well. People seem to eat it up.
There was I think there might be too much when I looked at they had a thing that was a few weeks ago where for $55 they gave you essentially a full pass for Walking Dead Season 1, Season 2, Wolf Among Us, Game of Thrones, and Borderlands. And you go, if each one of those things is 5 episodes, it's a lot of goddamn Telltale,
yeah, but
man.
that's been the episodes are all short, and that's been over the course of
a year.
Walking Dead Season 1.
Oh, outside of Walking Dead Season 1, though. Season 2, Wolf Among Us, Borderlands,
all
and Game
been
of
in a
Thrones,
year.
all this year.
Man.
And I feel like they're spreading a little bit too thin.
They must have a bunch of kids in a sweatshop in the Philippines or something turning out these games.
I kind of wish that instead of having one of those titles, they would have spent a little bit more time on the animation quality of their existing titles, because they still have that very stiff border or Telltale movement and stuff.
Yeah, that's how they keep them cheap and profitable, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how the Minecraft thing is going to play out. That's weird.
I think there might be a little much. I think that it's just they might be getting to the point where they need to pull back and really focus on.
They just want to jump on this Minecraft money train.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Daniel says Hey, Rage Masters, hope you had a great holiday. Have there been any toys or devices that you really wanted badly when you were younger but never got? On the flip side, was there anything that you got that you thought was awesome but turned out to be fucking garbage? Thanks, and may Don Cleves bless you with his mighty wang, Daniel.
One that I never got?
Yep.
That's tough because
See, I just sit here.
if I ever mention this,
Yeah.
always wanted one and never got it. Allison gets it for me like right away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, always wanted a Millennium Falcon. Now I got a giant Millennium Falcon.
Right.
You know.
When I was a kid, I wanted the AT-AT real bad. I never got it.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Jason.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Jason.
I had one. It's my favorite toy. I wish I still had it. Oh, hey, Allison got me one for Christmas. Ding, 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 ding.
Shit person.
And it is amazing. God, what's
as a kid, G.I. Joe aircraft carrier.
There it is.
Didn't get
that's
one
the
of those.
One. That's the one. I never got the aircraft
so
carrier.
So goddamn big. Like
it's like 6 feet or something.
It's big enough that you could put the jet on it like it's an actual
the Sky Striker, no less, which was huge.
Yeah. In and of itself was huge.
I always wanted the aircraft carrier, and I never got that. Now I don't really want it.
So it's
like,
funny.
Where the hell am I going to put that?
Well, I mean, it's like if somebody was to get me the aircraft carrier now, I'd be like, great. Now I need all the G.I. Joes to go in here because I don't have any G.I. Joes anymore.
Yeah. What was one that I got that turned out to be crap?
Yeah,
Power Glove.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's
probably
everybody's answer.
Single biggest disappointment of my entire childhood.
Yeah.
Power Glove. They made that. They just straight up lied about. You watched The Wizard. They had a fucking movie to show you that shit. And I understand that there are some of those people who are down on the whole VR thing because they think it's like the Power Glove.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them.
Yeah, I get it.
VR Boy, yeah, that was shit.
Virtual Boy,
yeah,
right.
I didn't even have one, but that was straight.
I didn't
garbage.
either. I was curious, and then I tried it out at a Blockbuster. I was like, let's give this a shot. Oh God, this is horrible.
Yep.
This is terrible.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm glad I never talked my parents into that. But yeah, the Power Glove. That's the answer.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because, I mean, original NES, I was super happy with that.
Yep.
My NES Advantage, used the fuck out of that.
Hell yeah.
Super Nintendo, Super NES Advantage, all that. Yep. Sega Genesis, used the fuck out of that. I'm trying to think of that. Because when you get down to the granular stuff that's not video games, I'm like, I mean, I got Lion-O from Thundercats, and it was great, and it was my favorite toy until I got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then they were my favorite toys until I got, Rock Lords. Okay, you know what?
Humanoids.
You know what? Rock Lords might be one of the action figure toys where you were like, they made that shit seem cool on TV, and then you got it, and you transformed him into a rock,
dumb.
And you were just like,
oh, he's a rock now.
Now he's a rock. What the fuck do I do with this?
Yeah. It was pretty bad.
Oh.
There was like a whole thing with like, here's the He-Man guys that are made of rock, and here's the Transformers guys that are made of rocks. And
No, there was just Rock Lords.
just Rock Lords?
Well, there was Rock Lords. They were robots that turned into rocks. It's a subset of the GoBots. What the fuck? How do I know this?
Yeah.
And then there was like Crystar and
Crystar and the Crystal Warriors. Yeah.
Yeah, Crystal Warriors or whatever.
I remember that one. I think there were like some He-Man rock dudes too.
Okay, yep. I'm starting to remember that as well. I remember one. Okay, so we were at this amusement park when I was a kid.
And I'm pissed that when you open up the Rock Lord, it wasn't Ozzy.
The rock that turns into
or Lemmy.
I mean, at least the trees from the Inhumanoids were fucking scary as shit, right?
The Inhumanoids were so fucked up.
All the Inhumanoids were terrible.
It's like, who put H.P. Lovecraft in charge of making these toys?
Yep. No, when I was a kid, we were at this amusement park. I'm trying to go through this pretty fast. We were at this amusement park, and this guy had this thing, and it was a spring, right? And then around that, it was a spring that was about what do you call it? About 9 inches.
You're describing
in diameter, right? But it was a spring that would stay out, right? Like you push it down and it would pop back out. And then over
what springs do. Yeah,
was this sleeve that looked like a little rodent, right? It looked like a raccoon or something, right?
Yeah.
It didn't have any legs or anything, but it was a tube, and then it had a head at the front, and at the back
and it was
had
going,
a tail.
"Kill me!"
And what this guy that was selling these things there had is you would take this thing, and you would hold it about in the middle, and then you would kind of like punch the spring up onto your chest or whatever, pretending like you were holding it, and then you would manipulate the spring, and it would look like it was alive, right? It was like a puppet.
Yeah.
And the guy who was selling them was so goddamn good with it. And I begged and the thing was like $85, right? And I begged my parents for it, and they finally gave in, and they got it for me. and I read the instructions, and I tried to mess with it. Yeah, about 2 days later, I was just like, fuck that thing, too much work. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Put it next to the guitar and the tennis racket.
Yep. All right, let's see. Next one, this is from Alex. Alex says, hey, Jeff, I'm not sure if you've seen, but the new Halo 5 multiplayer beta is out. I actually think that's 2 days from now, I thought, is out. And it looks like a Call of Duty Titanfall ripoff with Halo stuff in it. Do you think games need to change or replicate other games to survive and piss off existing fans, or should they remain true to why people enjoyed them in the first place? From the land down under, Alex. Also, I would love to see a Patreon Dark Souls 1 playthrough with the lore and everything explained. Loved your playthrough of Dark Souls 2, but I prefer the original Dark Souls and just wanted to see more Souls playthrough. Alex. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Yes, that's all it took, Alex. It's going to happen now. Yeah. There's a fine line to walk. It's the same with, especially with bands.
Yeah.
It's like, they changed their sound. Why did they change their sound?
Yep.
Well, you don't want to hear the same thing over and over. So you got to kind of strike that balance. It's you can't make everyone happy. It's like on a sequel to anything, whether it's your sophomore album or a sequel to a movie or a game sequel to a beloved franchise, people will say, oh, this is the same thing that I played last time, if they don't change it. And if they do change it, they're like, why did they change it? There was nothing wrong with it.
Right.
And so it's just it's lose-lose. So, yeah, you just got to try to improve and hopefully not just rehash it, but also let people rest a while. It's like Call of Duty. I can't miss you if you never go away.
Right. Yeah, I feel like there's it would make. I mean, I don't know. It is very difficult because there have been some franchises that I've bitched about because they've changed too much, and there have been some franchises I've bitched about because they haven't changed enough. And I put Bayonetta 2 on my Game of the Year list. It's pretty much just Bayonetta 1.
Sure.
But Bayonetta 1 is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a Platinum Games, third-person action, just wonderful, right? Say you look at the God of War games and you say the actual combat between all four of the God of War games, or three of the God of War games, aren't dramatically different, the core ones, but they managed to add just enough in that it's different. But then you also look at something like, say, Uncharted. Uncharted's relatively the same game, action-wise, 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Even Far Cry 4 and Far Cry 3 and Blood Dragon are all pretty much the exact same game with just a little bit of nuance here and there. I think it just depends on, you have to be able to gauge how much fun your audience is having based on your system. And if they're having a hell of a lot of fun, you can do that same thing 2 or 3 times with a different coat of paint on it. It's going to be fine.
Well, it's like with Assassin's Creed. I think everybody would have been okay with a little bit more piracy.
I would have been okay with more diversity of combat systems and mechanics in that game. But even Call of Duty, it's like, do you really want? Would any of us be super happy if Call of Duty felt like Rainbow Six, or if Call of Duty played like Battlefield?
Right.
Is that really what Call of Duty is? Like, even though it's the same thing every time, do we want Call of Duty to be a third-person cover-based shooter like Gears of War? Or if that happened one year, would you really want that? Or do you?
I think it would piss a lot of people off.
I know it would, but is that? I mean, that's got to be one of the hardest questions for developers to come out, because I feel like Assassin's Creed, they went back to their roots with Unity, and the roots were boring. The game system had been evolving, and up until now, you can make a very clear line of adding mechanics through every single Assassin's Creed game. And this is the first one where they took a bunch of shit away, and it was like, well, what you added in was not fun. It was basically fodder for microtransactions, so, dicks eat, etc. But, yeah, I don't know. It's a very fine line to walk. I'm really going to be interested to see how iterative the combat in Arkham Knight is. Because I'm about, after playing Arkham Asylum 2 or 3 times and playing Arkham City 2 or 3 times, I want a little more out of it than just those. Right? And I'm hoping with the Batmobile, it looks like they're going to be putting in stuff that's more interesting. I don't know. We'll see.
Yep.
All right. Next one comes in from, I think we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to start going a lot faster here. Hey guys, Burt Cocaine here. I couldn't think of a coherent question about games, so I went with my second favorite thing, pizza. Seeing as Rooster Teeth has their own Pizza Hut topping available, I was wondering what the Rage Select pizza would taste like. Also, what kind of booze would go with it? I think tequila. Live long and whatnot, guys, from Burt Cocaine. Rage like pizza.
Rage like pizza.
Pepperoni.
Yeah, sure.
Pepperoni.
Something. What pizza really defines us as a podcast?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I eat
meat.
When I eat pizza, I eat a thin crust chicken and broccoli on pesto pizza,
Jesus
which I know.
Christ.
I know how it sounds.
Meat,
Right.
peppers,
Right.
a mewling newborn infant, meat,
So
cheese.
okay, you take a meat lover's pizza, and then you're going to take about 12 Taco Bell crunchy tacos
Yeah.
and just crumble them over the top.
Yeah.
Then you're going to go to Jim's, and you're going to get the eggs and the bacon, and you're going to put that on top.
and then a dusting of PCP.
And yes, a dusting of PCP. Give yourself a Lone Star and a shot of Jameson. Rage like pizza.
There
right
it
there.
is.
Boom. Easy peasy. All right, PJ.
Play along at home.
Yes. PJ asks, "What's your opinion on gamers in the 2000s compared to in the 90s or even 80s? Because I was told that I'm not a gamer because I think BioShock Infinite or The Last of Us are the greatest games I've ever played, and people tell me I'm just a fanboy, blah blah blah, who haven't played Mario 64, Deus Ex, Metal Gear Solid, or WE. I don't know what that is." PJ.
Tell those people to kiss your ass.
Yes.
Right on your butthole.
Yes.
Just pucker up and just tell them to plant 2 lips on your squinting sphincter.
I'll give you, PJ. I will give you a little secret that you can use to make these people into a flaming pile of turd garbage. They played those games when they were 6.
Yeah.
6-year-olds can't think critically about what is good and what is bad.
Right.
Anything you played before you were, I'm going to say, 17. I don't think you can render a full judgment on. You just, not because you're a bad person, you just don't have enough life experience to be able to critically think about anything.
As Allison puts it, teenagers are brain damaged.
You're developing.
I was.
Yeah, you're developing. So if somebody tells you that the games they played when they were 8 years old are the greatest games of all time, and you don't understand gaming because you didn't play them, you could say 8-year-olds aren't. You don't understand.
Yeah.
8-year-olds are like, go back and try playing those games because half the time those games were shit and you just didn't realize it.
I liked He-Man cartoons and Chuck E. Cheese, and both of those are so horrible.
Yeah, go back and try to watch those now, or don't try to go back to Chuck E. Cheese now. They probably wouldn't
Film it if you do.
Yeah, you could tell them. Also, you could say, "Who the fuck are you?" You know, because,
right? Tastemaker,
right? Unless it's like what Randy Pitchford is up at your, or like I don't know, Miyamoto is standing there saying, "You're not a real gamer."
Yeah, well then you're not.
Okay, that's cool, man.
Miyamoto tells you you're not.
Yep. Sure
Go home
enough.
and smash all your game components and do something else. All right, last one.
Last one. This is from the comedic narrator. Hello, Jeff and Jason. The target ban of GTA 5 got me thinking, could there ever be a time where certain games become exclusive to certain chains? For example, Just Cause 3 becomes exclusive to GameStop. I know people have said that games are all going digital, but I think a move like this could revitalize the market. What do you think? Additionally, could you get Kevin to be on a podcast in the future? A guy hasn't been on the show in ages. Thank you, and may the warmth of the holy dong and its boiling creamy discharge stop you from dying of frostbite this winter.
Gross.
From the comedic narrator. Okay, real briefly, Kevin is having some health issues, and he's got an open invitation. When he feels better, we'll have him back on the podcast.
Yeah.
So, as far as his question, I completely disagree. Brick and mortar retail stores are dying.
Yeah. I think it's going to take a lot more than that, and a lot of companies, since they are dying, a lot of companies are going to be even more reluctant to sign on. I'm surprised it hasn't already happened.
Sure,
but now I think that time has passed, and it's like, I can sell my stuff purely at GameStop, or I can just dump all these copies into an open grave.
Right. It's those retail stores have fleeced people for so many years. I can't wait for them to die off completely.
Yeah.
I understand there's a whole bunch of problems with the rights management and what are you paying for and blah, blah, blah with digital-only games, but fuck's sake, man. It's nothing compared to the abuse that we have suffered over the years at the hands of garbage-ass retailers.
Precisely.
Because they've got you trapped, and now there's suddenly an alternative. They're all going to go wee all the way home because, like, oh, it's not fair. Yeah, it's not.
Evolve or die.
That's right.
Preferably die.
All right, that's the show for today. We're going to get done. Jason's got to go to Chuck E. Cheese or something. I don't know what's going on.
Chuck E. Cheese After Dark. Most people don't know about that.
mail@rageselect.com is the email address to send your questions into. And you should check back tomorrow because we've got plenty of videos coming up. Thanks for listening. Good night. Oh, what the hell? Why did the top fall off?
There's nothing wrong with losing your top, Jeff.
Damn it. Get out of here, Kirby.
Oh, I really
Get out of here, Kirby.
No.
Get out of here, Kirby. Kirby.
Yes.
Get out of here.
No.
Get
in
out
my
of
mouth.
here. No.
I'll leave if you get in my mouth.
No. The things that get said on Rage Select.